All right, so biggest news, we had been alluding to it and speculating about it. We officially got Joel Embiid. The return last night came back, helped the Sixers beat this same Thunder team that was again without Shea and J-Dub, but pretty impressive stuff. Embiid, I thought he looked fine for the most part. He looked extremely gassed, which, like, go figure. But was able to come through at the end.
I heard he was like keeling over on the free throw line.
He was tired, but he did hit both of those free throws to help ice the game. So a win is a win, and I think for Philly, they just happy to see him out there and to get through a game. And it's funny too because he's so tired now. Every time he falls, he's staying down because he's so exhausted. And every single time, I'm like, oh god, like did his leg just like snap in half again? Like what's So I'm sure that's exactly what it is. But so again, just another twist and turn to this already awesome NBA season. And we mentioned it last time, but now it's like. It's really looking like that's going to be a first-round opponent for probably either us or the Bucks is going to be the Sixers with Embiid, who again were I think 28-8 when he was healthy, and they were the 2 seed in the East. So, pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff for sure. Not your typical 8 seed or 7 seed or whatever they end up getting. So I think we're both kind of one of those where they kept saying he'd be back, and we were like, all right, yeah, like I'll believe it when I see it, but. We saw it.
And then he saw that SGA when J-Dub were out, and he said, okay, fuck it, I'll play. I'm in.
Young boys screws loose, they done stripped the bolts on them. Should've never sent them to pick up the work for them. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners. Tech cursive on the Jets, he was gonna show.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, and the Celtics have just beaten the OKC Thunder 135-100, and in doing so, have gotten their 60th win of the season and clinched the number 1 overall seed. So very exciting win tonight. We're here to break it all down. I'm your host, Dugouts. With me as always, Chuddy, King Chuddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing well. Another little mini benchmark win, 60 wins, home court throughout. They're really like, as we go through at least the regular season check marks, this might be the last one. So feels pretty good.
I mean, yeah.
Nice win. Yeah, there isn't much more to do.
Yeah. I'm really concerned about what these next 6 games. It's just going to be like, it's just for the love of the, now we're just watching for the love of the game. We're just there for the love of it.
We have that.
There's plenty. Yeah, we have the love of the game in spades here. All right, so before we break down the game, quick shout out to the sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickperino.com for all your real estate needs. Personal plug. We are clients as well as spokespeople for Nick Perino. So make sure you go to nickperinorealestate.com. But yeah, we'll dive right into this one. So Porzingis, the lead scorer, 27 points, 12 rebounds. He had a really good game. He got the 3-ball going again, which was definitely good to see. It's Porzingis' 13th straight game with 17 or more points, which is a career high for him. Wow. So it's good to see Porzingis rounding into himself. But yeah, go ahead and give us a breakdown. This game was it was close for about 3 quarters. Then the fourth quarter obviously just kind of really shifted gears. Go ahead and give us a breakdown of what we saw in this game.
Well, it was close, but I'd say we were in control. Big story going into this game for the Thunder. No Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, no Jalen Williams. So puts a bit of a buzzkill on a game that we were kind of looking forward to. Thought might be a little bit of a measuring stick game maybe for both teams. The Thunder were on the second night of a back-to-back. They played in Philly last night, and Shai and J-Dub were both out too. So I was thinking maybe they were resting them for the first night, and then tonight they were going to approach it like all hands on deck type of situation, but not the case. So again, a little of the shine taken off as we are now playing the Thunder without their 2 best players. Albeit still a really good Thunder team, still a really talented team, a really deep team, well coached, and a team that's has a lot to play for as they came in tied for the 1 seed in the West in the loss column. So, and then the Celtics, Jaylen came back, so we had our entire rotation ready to go, and it looked pretty good. Came out not the best start, a little back and forth, not bad, just not really hitting shots. Thunder were playing well, kind of coming right at us. We were going back and forth, doing a really good job of feeding Porzingis right from the jump. You mentioned he was super involved as he was the first game, this is just a great matchup for him. There's certain teams. We said it going into the game last episode when I talked about it with the Thunder. Their biggest thing is, as good as they are, they stretch the floor out and play super small ball. Like, they don't have a true big. They have Chet, who's kind of in some ways a similar player to Porzingis, just smaller right now and like weaker and younger. So
like he's like weirdly shaped. He's too skinny. I don't know. Freaks me out.
It's a little.
He's got like a. Yeah,
Scal wasn't feeling it either, but no, he'll get bigger. He's really good. It's just I think a tough matchup.
I'm not saying anything about the way he plays.
Yeah,
it just for
looks
some reason, like it looks like he's, I don't know, just very oddly shaped.
No, I don't disagree.
I don't mean to be insensitive.
I don't disagree at all. But again, just really good matchup for Porzingis, and it's good to see, as the Celtics kind of have all year, went right out and attacked the matchup. You can see the Thunder were trying to play a lot of zone, trying to do a lot of different things, but it was a lot of kind of going back to the basics of feeding Porzingis around that free throw line on those elbows. I thought he did a good job being a little more patient today. He was mixing in the pump fake. He was taking a dribble, he loves kind of going up through that left shoulder when he goes to the middle. He had that falling all night. He was either getting to the line, hitting that shot, and you mentioned making a couple threes off of the pick and pop. It feels like that just opens up everything for the offense when those threes are falling. Like, that's almost the last thing where it's like, all right, that's the final step. And like, now we're truly unbeatable, where that's the one thing where if those are off, it's like, I guess, a team can pick their poison and choose to just live with Porzingis hucking up threes. But when those are dropping, you really don't have many choices.
Dangerous.
Yeah. But again, credit to Thunder battling without their two best players. Josh Giddey, we've been joking on him all year, but he's playing great ball. He's a really good player, and I'll be interested to see. That's good if another team tries to take him on, because honestly, he's like a really good kind of lead ball handler, minus not great shooting. He's really big, really good passer, ball handler, and a solid defender. He's just almost like. They almost don't need him because they have such good primary ball handling, but I'd be curious to see him on a different team. But anyway, he played really well for them. Chet, as much as, again, I said it's a tough matchup.
You see him doing well in like Utah or something.
Yeah, like San Antonio maybe. Need some ball handling. Team like that could work, but I don't know. Either way, but anyway, so those two guys came out, and I think that's when the Celtics really turned thing on. Went on a really good run to end the first quarter, kind of stretched the lead out of what had been a back and forth game. It coincided with Pritchard coming in, who I thought came in and really provided a ton of energy for us tonight. Tonight was one of those nights where it was like the Celtics came out. We didn't come out flat, but again, I think it's kind of a natural letdown when you see they don't have Shea, they don't have J-Dub. We've got everything clinched. Like, it's kind of hard to get yourself going. I thought Pritchard did a great job of coming in. Immediately like amped up the pace, amped up the energy. He had like 3 assists in 3 minutes, really good passes. He had that one like push ahead pass on a rebound where he almost like didn't even catch it, threw it all the way ahead to Drew for a layup. So we went on a nice run to end the first quarter with really good defense. Basically weren't letting them score. Picked that up into the second quarter. We're out to a double-digit lead pretty quickly, and then I'd say kind of just held them honestly at arm's length for the rest of the night. They did a good job again of staying in it. When Giddey went out, you could tell they were a little bit lacking on offense, but they have so many guys all around the floor who can hit threes. Seemingly random dudes. Isaiah Joe, who, was Philly just dumped him. He's like one of the best shooters in the league. He's burying shots left and right. Aaron Wiggins, really good shooter for them. I mentioned obviously Giddey and Chet, how good those guys are. And you can see it, like I said, even without, some of their better guys, but that's still like the makings of a pretty good team, even with all the guys they were trotting out there. Dort, hell of a player.
Dort
on both ends. Yeah, he's good.
Brick shit out.
He is like he's so solid. But yeah, so they were kind of hanging around. Third quarter was really like the test, I thought, where it seemed like they were really trying to push back. The Thunder were. They looked like they were almost a step ahead of us. They were flying up and down. They drew, I don't know the final numbers, but they were living at the free throw line in that quarter.
It was insane. They had
thought
like
some
27 in the third quarter.
No way it was that much, but it was a lot.
The fourth quarter. I tweeted out 27.
It was a lot. Either way, they were definitely shooting a lot of free throws, living at the free throw line. It was kind of keeping them in the game where it seemed like they were, again, almost like a step faster than us. We were honestly kind of staying in it with like threes. Al hit a few like huge threes to kind of keep the lead, so they could never get really closer than like 7 or 10, it felt like. But it did feel like they kind of outplayed us in the third quarter, really gave us a good push, and we just kind of barely were able to hold them off. Then I thought Pritchard came in again late, sparked more good energy, got us going, and then that carried into the fourth quarter where we just completely blitzed them. I think we won the fourth 42-17, completely turned it on. We're on a different level on both sides. The crowd got into it. We were out and running. We were hitting shots. it was all working. And a lot of that I thought coincided with Jaylen Brown, who really took over after, again, he missed last game. He was questionable coming into this one. He looked, I thought, a little bit off the first half. Like, he was holding his wrist a couple times. His shots that almost become automatic just weren't quite falling. He had a couple drives he usually finishes where he's just kind of awkward around the rim. Didn't look great. But then he just looked unreal in the fourth quarter. He came out, hit one of those like long fadeaway mid-range rainbow shots that was like, oh, okay, he's got that. Came down, hit a three. Then he had like a strip six, huge dunk. He had a couple more shots, did a little bit of everything. I think he had 15 points in the fourth quarter. Seemed like that really sparked the team. And then before you knew it, again, a game that you had mentioned had been like 5 to 7 to 12 point game the whole time. And it seemed like we couldn't quite put them away. They wouldn't quit. Suddenly we were just up like 30, just completely blitzed
like
them.
If you stepped away from the TV for like 2 minutes in that fourth quarter, you came back and you're like, wait, what the fuck?
For sure. Final score definitely misleading of what was, for the most part, again, a pretty good game. Like a game we were never not in control of, but I thought a game that we were playing pretty well, and they were just playing pretty well too, keeping us in it. Obviously didn't have their stars. Second night of a back-to-back, and I think that is kind of natural. They probably, combination, we hit our stride, they ran out of gas, and it was just an avalanche.
Yeah, that fourth quarter definitely pretty much will put this. I mean, that's just, again, it's, when the team turns it up to a certain level, you can just sort of tell. And again, this is obviously they're without their two best players, so I'm not trying to say like that just shows how much better we are than the Thunder. I think the Thunder are going to be a pretty good team. I know Scal's been saying all year they don't have the size to make a finals push, but it should be interesting either way. I think I had a couple notes here too. We mentioned a little bit of Jaylen Brown. I have my notes for the whole first three quarters was kind of like, why is he out there? It seems like his like wrist is kind of. It kind of reminded me a lot of like that Miami series when he had like the hurt hand, and it was just kind of like sometimes the ball, he just couldn't even handle the ball. I was getting a little nervous. Right. But then that fourth quarter happened, and it's just kind of like, okay, all right.
It's so good.
Just having like, maybe it just was a sort of off night. I mean, the guy can have an off night, I guess. But it ends up figuring out. We mentioned the Porzingis 3-ball. It's such a weird looking shot, but it's like it like almost always is just like flush. Push.
Yeah,
and it's when it's like a swoosh, it's just so funny. It just feels like it happens so fast. We talked about his release when he got traded, how quick it is, and he's definitely put that to the definitely shown that off. But I mean, this overall, like you said, I think that there's a lot of things you can take away. I think my favorite thing is Joe has sort of reached the status now of like. Anytime that we're like not playing well, I feel like it's like Scal today for like a lot of that third quarter where things were like stagnant and there was a lot of just kind of like ISO ball at the top of the key and stuff like that. But he's just like, they must be trying something here. Like they got to be just trying something different here. I think that's just like such a funny spot for Joe to be in, where pretty much no matter what we're doing, he's able to just kind of like no matter how bad they're playing, they must be just trying. So we're going to hear a lot of that in the next like six or seven games, whatever's left in the season.
Yes, definitely. But I mean, I think that probably is the case.
Do you think he was trying stuff?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think. Well, no, I just think that what he was saying is more that like it seemed like they were slowing the game down to like purposely work on half court sets and running different things. They were running a lot of different plays. It seemed like in a point where the game was like. Could have been free flowing back and forth out and running. And maybe that's like kind of what started happening in the fourth quarter. And we did pull away by so much. So I think if anything, the fourth quarter might have like added credence to that. We're seeing like we were purposely being deliberate, going through sets, going through different options and like working the ball around, making sure we were getting good looks, which again, I mean, makes perfect sense, but it is just funny to go automatically like, we don't have a great possession. It's like, oh, well, clearly, like, we're just doing this to see what we would do if...
Well, that was happening, like, with the Hawks game, too. I remember, like, when they were talking about how he was trying to keep DeJounte Murray with Porzingis, and it's just kind of like, it's like, okay, well... Like, it's like, you say, it's like, but is that actually what's happening? Or is it like, I don't know, because it's just like such a great spot to be in. Like, I wish that I could get there in my career. It's just like, like this podcast kind of sucks today. They must just be trying something new here. Like,
well, and how far can we take it? Like, it's going to be, round one, lose game 1 and 2 at home to the 8 seed. And he's like, I just want to see how the team responds. Like,
yeah. Hold on. I'm working on something here.
Joe must be trying something here. But obviously, makes the play like their backs are against the wall.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that over these next games.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little, probably a little of this, a little of that. I think they definitely are like going out of their way to work on certain things, but I don't think, every single play that doesn't go wrong or we're not doing what we should be is like by design.
I mean, that's going to be my thing now. Anytime
I like
any of these games, yeah.
Right. I mean, I like the idea, but we'll see. I'll be interested. I saw him up at the podium. I didn't listen to the press conference because we're recording, but he did specifically, obviously, mention the DeJounte Murray thing that was by design.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see if he does speak to anything and mention,
we're just letting Porzingis get cooked there for a while. Just to try something out there.
Right. How much is
playing a really bad defensive matchup just to kind of see what's going on.
Specific strategy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I want him to be like play like a lineup with put out, like Luke, Tillman, Al, Porzingis, and Kata. Scal's like, I wonder if Joe's just trying to see something here.
yeah. It's just let him cook.
He's got to be experimenting.
What is? I think I sent it to the show chat earlier. There was a tweet. I just want to find so I can give credit. Oh yeah, so at Mazzulla Mauler, good follow anyway if you don't follow him at Mazzulla Mauler, but it was talking about the Ime and Joe each getting coach of the month, and it's like it's funny because one of the coaches pulling out all the stops versus less engaged teams to try to climb to the play-in, and the other coach spent the month asking questions like, "What would happen if I played 3 centers at the same time?" And I feel like that just like perfectly kind of encapsulates what Joe's been doing for the last month. So it's about to get
all year really, but
yeah. If it felt like these last few weeks, these games have been kind of just like hard to get up for, it's about to get a lot crazier over these next 6 or 7 games. I forget how many there's.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's the case, but I think as we're kind of almost like making a joke out of it. But I think all year, even at the beginning of the year, we've been consistent on the show saying, well before the 1 seed and all that was clinched, saying like really all that matters in the regular season is trying stuff, experimenting, figuring things out that you can use in the playoffs. Like I think we went into the year with a pretty championship or bust attitude, and knowing that like after the last few years with what we've seen, like we can dominate the regular season, we can get home court, we can do this and that, and obviously this regular season has gone better than any in years past, but still I was almost at the point where it's like, all right, there's nothing they can really prove in the regular season. They just have to play different ways and try different shit and get ready for the playoffs, and that's all we wanted to see. And like it seems like that's exactly what we're doing, and these guys aren't dumb. Like I'm sure if we know that, the front office and the coaching staff knows that as well. So
yeah, well, I'm sure plenty of them listen anyway. So even if they didn't,
and if they didn't, they know now. They knew from listening to us. So. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm looking forward to just like like you said. I hope in the playoffs, it's like I hope by the time the regular season ends, it's like okay, now we have our like spreadsheet of what works, what doesn't work. So we're gonna try this. We're not gonna try this. Like we're not gonna let DeJounte Murray just eat up Porzingis if we meet them in the playoffs or something like that. So hopefully it's all straightened out by now. But yeah, so anyway, good for Joe. He's earned it, I think, and he's earned the coach of the month too. Again, I think aside from the Thunder coach is the guy who's favored to win coach of the year, but I think outside of that, he's made a pretty good case for himself anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lock to finish top 5. I think Dagnall from the Thunder and Mosley from the Magic, I want to say, were the only guys who had better odds, and I think both of those are, it's reasonable, but for him to be in that mix is good shit. And again, it's really, they call it the Coach of the Year award, but it's really not, it's not like an MVP that's awarded to the best coach. It's really just best coach based on relative to expectations. Yeah. So again, when Joe took, what did we win last year? 53 games?
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, to make there wasn't that much he could, so the team has improved, obviously, but again, for us to make that kind of leap, whereas the Thunder and Magic, those teams are probably 15, 20 wins better than they were last year, just because they were starting from a much lower point. So, I don't know. It's tough. But again, it's like why Pop and Spo don't just win Coach of the Year every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we'll take the banner.
Yes, exactly. Playing for bigger things.
Yeah. All right. I think that this is the 36th time that all 5 starters were available for the Celtics, dude. I didn't realize that it had been
not
so
that much.
Few.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't realize it seems so few.
Well, it seems like because everyone's been pretty healthy, and I feel like most of those are mixed around. Like obviously some just strategic with rest here and there, but it's like there really hasn't been anyone who's had like a major injury that was ever concerning. Like we've had Porzingis was out for the few games where we were starting to wonder, but other than that, it's almost been like a trade-off, and it feels like most games we've had at least 3 or 4 of the 5, it'll just be like one random guy missing here and there. So yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't like you hear 35 and it's like, holy shit, we've had like a really banged up year, but that doesn't really feel like it matches the eye test. It really doesn't feel like we've been banged up at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a surprising number.
So
yeah,
that's
it's impressive how we've done it. When you look at that, the fact that they've made it seem so seamless, no matter who's in, out, and I mean, obviously, it helps when you have basically already made sixth starter in Horford. So when we are just missing one guy, it's not like a lot changes. I mean, some things change schematically. We basically remove a guard or wing usually for a big man, or we'll mix things around. But obviously, we have so many talented players and 6 guys who would start for basically any like. Horford would probably start for almost any other team, and we get to have him come off the bench. And I think he's going to end up starting. I think he's now started more games than he's come off the bench, hasn't he? Or it's very close. Either way.
Yeah, I know. So. I saw that stat the other day too. It's definitely close.
Yeah, so we basically just have 6 starters, and if you think of it that way, I would like to see the stat. How many games have we played with 5 of those 6 starting?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit higher.
That would probably capture a little better of like how healthy the team has been as a whole. But still,
do you think we'll see of the remaining? So what are we now? 60 and
16? Yep, 6 more games.
60 and 60. Ooh, say that one 5 times fast. So that's what 6 games left then.
Yeah.
Out of the 6 games, how many games do you think we have all 5 starters out there?
I would say the last one is a 100% rest game, no matter what.
Also, is one of the Chuddy Dome TVs on volume?
No.
Oh, I feel like I hear background. Maybe not.
I don't know, but 6 games left. Like I said, I think we'll definitely sit everyone the last game. Like that'll be a scheduled rest game, so it's really 5 games, and then I don't really know what the plan is. I was going to ask you because I feel like we had talked about it. We've been talking about it for a while as we've obviously kind of seen it coming, but now that it's here, where it's like, what do you want to see? You know what I mean? Because I want that balance. And again, we're going to have the week off no matter what, where they're playing the play-in tournament. So like the last regular season game scheduled for April 14th, which I think is a Sunday. And then the first playoff game could be is the following Saturday. So even if we played everyone every game, we'd get at least 6 full days off. Right. So it's not like that should be an issue. So I think it's more dependent on rest. I think if anything, like guys will play normal, maybe play, but not play their full minutes. Like, I don't know. I also don't know off the top of my head who's playing for what bonuses or if guys still, I think like anyone who's up for awards. I know Drew hit his 65 games. I know Porzingis isn't going to get there no matter what. Both Jays I'm sure have played enough games to get there. So like, I doubt there's anything like that at stake. So, again, I expect to see them in at least a few games. Again, maybe not playing their full minutes, but I'd say like, you don't want to go. It's too early now where it's April 3rd and the playoffs start April 20th. So realistic, I'd want to play at least up to like April 10th. I feel like taking more than 10 days off, anything more than that begins to be like, all right, we've gone a long time without really playing.
Yeah. And I think if they are going to kind of tinker with some of their minutes, what I would like to see it look like is like play the first half like it's just a totally normal game, and then just like no matter what the score is, then they kind of come out after that. Because I think again, we've talked about I kind of want this group they haven't had a chance over the last couple of weeks to play as a group, so I want them to get more of those opportunities. But I also just don't want to just have them out there in totally meaningless games. But I do think that there's something to the idea of just completely shutting it down, where like guys just aren't playing or whatever, that kind of becomes a little worrisome about just snapping back into it. So if they are gonna still start, which I'd like to see them pretty much do as long as they're healthy. Like I guess if the Drew Holiday shoulder thing is lingering, if the Jalen
exactly, there's a reason to rest.
Push it, but I would like to see if they all are going to be out there. I'd
take
rather
it seriously, right? I'd rather see him take it extremely seriously for 12 minutes and sit the rest of the game than kind of half-ass it for 30 minutes.
Right.
Which I think is what you're saying.
Exactly. Or just like instead of just like lowering their minutes, but having them play the whole game so they're in different rotations and stuff like that. I feel like it's just kind of like
keep it consistent.
Just go out, just make one half, no matter what the score is afterwards. You guys are going to be done. So and just kind of play like that because it's going to be interesting. I mean, can't really remember a time that like I'm sure that there is, and at least as a Celtics fan, I can't really remember a time recently. But even like in like the 08, 010, like that run there, I feel like there was always still sort of like I don't remember us ever clinching like this early or feeling like
they just said on the screen this is the first time we've actually even had the overall number 1 seed in the whole league since that 07-08 season. So
okay, so
it's not just that it feels like it; it's never been.
It is, yeah, exactly. It
right.
is. So
it is.
But even that, I'm wondering when we clinched. I'm wondering when we clinched that
early.
team too, because
it feels early for sure. I mean, it definitely, it would have 6 games left and have already wrapped up everything. That's pretty impressive.
Crazy, yeah.
I think part of it too. I mean, I would say one thing. I can't see this mattering for this specific team that we have, but in past, I think some guys would rather just play a whole game and then sit out a whole game just so their per game stats don't get messed up. Because if a guy plays like 15 minutes a game and his stats all drop, like, again, it won't make a huge difference. And I don't think there's anyone on the Celtics team who would really care or has like, they're not really like chasing any specific numbers that I think would get affected enough for. Yeah, right. But I don't see that being
Celtics unders these last 6 games.
Probably not a terrible call. But I think the other thing too, part of it is like the schedule and what the opponents are doing, I think will kind of dictate it. Like if I'm just looking right now, like our last 2 games were at home for the Hornets and the Wizards. Those teams are already bad and will probably be trying to lose those games.
We don't need to play anyone.
Exactly. Even playing our starters and telling them to go all out is probably not even like good practice. Like there's just no reason for those guys to be out there. There's literally only bad outcomes that can happen. But I mean, the next 4 games before then, like this Friday against the Kings, I mean, the Kings are battling like that. Yeah, exactly. They're definitely going to come out and play. So I would say why not come out and play? That's a good game for us to get a test. Then we're playing the Trailblazers. They suck and are basically starting 4 rookies and Ayton. So that's not a serious team. It's going to be hard to get like anything meaningful from that one. And then we play at Bucks. The Bucks, they have nothing to really play for, and they just lost. They lost tonight to the Grizzlies, and they lost the last game to the Wizards. So they might just. I don't know if that's a game we can take anything serious from.
Really flamed out since their little like turnaround that everyone was talking about.
Well, they're also a team that when everyone is playing and looks good, they look really good. But if they're missing even like one part, they just don't look good at all. So again, I don't know what version of them we'll see, but it's hard for me to imagine that's going to be like a very serious game with neither of us having much to play for. And then our other game is against the Knicks, who are battling for position, so that could be a serious game. So I'd say out of those, like maybe we take the Knicks game and the Kings game like close to super seriously, and then take the Bucks and the Portland game somewhat seriously, and then maybe rest everyone for Hornets Wizards, I guess. I don't know. Does that seem like a somewhat reasonable plan?
I think what you just laid out was actually a pretty good pretty good way to look at it. Yeah, I mean, I think the Hornets and Wizards there's definitely no need to. And just to show how selfless like we are with that, the Wizards game, the entire Chuddy's Corner crew will be at that game. Mm-hmm. The sponsor, nickbrand.com's got the Chuddy Suite takeover.
And if you're there at halftime, I think you'll see a special hero among us that night. Not going to tip off anything, but just
interesting.
If you know, you know.
I don't know. Interesting. That's awesome. Okay. Well, that's exciting. Do we have any heroic friends? Is there any heroes in the midst of the Chuddy's Corner? I thought we were all just the dipshits. That's crazy. We did something meaningful and remarkable. That's awesome.
Not all heroes wear capes.
All right, cool, perfect. So, yeah, that'll be fun. That's exciting for me. All right, so I don't know. There's not a whole lot I think left to get into on this game. I think it's 16th 25-point win of the season. That's another Dick Light. Dick Light was on fire with some of the stats he was throwing out today. Great performance by Dick Light on the stat. If you don't
wouldn't
follow
expect
him on
anything
Twitter,
less.
Yeah, check him out. He had a lot of good stats. But I don't know. Do you have any other final kind of notes on this game or anything like that you want to dive into?
No, not really. Again, just
yeah.
The only real takeaway is good to see a game where Porzingis has a mismatch and we just use him and abuse him. He was great on both ends. Ton of blocks, ton of rebounds. Seemed like he was really making a point to rebound. I think he had 12 rebounds. That's a shitload for him.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was getting down there. Again, good matchup. They're a small team, but a game where we know that's where our advantages lie. To go out and take advantage of it. I thought he just looked better. The threes, but also I thought his post-ups looked better tonight. So that was very encouraging. And then what Jaylen did in the fourth quarter, super encouraging after just, not having seen it for a little bit. And I was at the same point as you, where last episode, I'd almost kind of ripped the Nuggets for playing Jokic when he said he was hurt. And I was kind of getting ready to be consistent and say, I got to sit here and say the same thing about Jaylen. If he's not 100%, why the hell is he out there? But after that fourth quarter, I'm kind of like, all right, well, that's why. So I guess he's good. But yeah, other than that, nice win. Would have been cool to see the Thunder at full strength. But it is nice that now officially we've beaten every single team in the league except for Denver. So
oh boy,
is that anything? I don't know.
That's just a pre-written storyline right there.
Right.
All right, I had just a couple things to sort of cover this one. So Al Horford,
good player.
Great player. Love him. The Chuddy bar today was an all Al Horford revenge game. He lived up to most of it. He had 3 rebounds. He needed 5.5 rebounds to hit the last one. He had 3 rebounds after the first quarter. I don't think he had another rebound the rest of the game.
So I got to push back on the Al Horford thing. How is it revenge for what? Paying him $1 gazillion to rest and rehab? And then sending him to an awesome situation? Like, I don't know.
No, yeah, it's a bit tongue. It's just.
I can't imagine there's any bad feelings. He's also credited their
okay. Well, he went off points
for being like unreal and adding years to his career because they got him like refreshed totally. Like he was, they were thinking he was like washed.
He went off on the points, so he lived up to the revenge side of it. He went off.
I just don't think there's a revenge angle there.
Gotta find an angle. Gotta find an edge.
It was a revenge game for Mike Muscala. Was probably more revenge situation for Muscala than
if I had thrown in
or Hayward.
Hayward, yeah. No, I don't think there's any bad blood, but yeah, you gotta do a little headline grabber there. But anyway, my point is, I don't know how he didn't grab another rebound for the last 3 quarters of the game. It's just crazy.
Didn't need to.
So that sucked. Also, I gotta go back and correct myself a little bit. I hope I didn't discourage anybody from going to buy tickets to the Maine Celtics, especially for the playoff run that starts tomorrow for the Maine Celtics. On the last pod, I was saying how I looked at tickets and they were insanely expensive. I don't know I don't know if maybe one of the teams they were playing had just some stud or something. I have no idea. But tickets were actually extremely reasonable. So if anyone does want to go tomorrow night to the Portland Expo Center to check out the Maine Celtics playoff series, you can sit courtside for $80, which I think is still a pretty good deal. That's before all the fees and shit. But I thought I remember I was saying they're over $100, and that's. I don't know.
I think you were looking at tickets. You were looking at to buy a 1% ownership stake in the team or something like that. I don't know.
That would have been awesome.
Well, that makes sense because I remember
I would love to get into a situation
confused when you were saying that. So I would say this makes more sense. Like you said, still probably a great experience. But yeah, that makes more sense. So yeah, if anyone can go tonight, go. Go pack the expo if you're around Portland. Should be awesome. Should be fun. Support the Maine Celtics. Some potential future Celtics out there. Should be a fun time.
Jordan Walsh, imagine getting double chips.
Huge.
Jordan Walsh gets the double chips. That'd be huge.
Jordan Peterson, yeah.
All right. What do you got for us for around the league, Chud?
All right, so biggest news, we had been alluding to it and speculating about it. We officially got Joel Embiid, the return last night, came back, helped the Sixers beat this same Thunder team that was, again, without Shea and J-Dub, but pretty impressive stuff. Embiid, I thought he looked fine for the most part. He looked extremely gassed, which, go figure, but was able to come through at the end.
I heard he was, keeling over on the free throw line.
He was tired, but he did hit both of those free throws to help ice the game. So a win is a win. And I think for Philly, they just happy to see him out there and to get through a game. And it's funny too, because he's so tired now. Every time he falls, he's staying down because he's so exhausted. And every single time I'm like, oh God, did his leg just snap in half again? So I'm sure that's exactly what it is. But so again, just another twist and turn to this already awesome NBA season. And we mentioned it last time, but now it's it's really looking like that's going to be a first-round opponent for probably either us or the Bucks is going to be the Sixers with Embiid, who, again, were, I think, 28-8 when he was healthy, and they were the 2 seed in the East. So, pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff for sure. Not your typical 8 seed or 7 seed or whatever they end up getting. So, I think we're both kind of one of those where they kept saying he'd be back, and we were like, all right, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But We saw it.
And then he
He's
saw
back,
that SGA when J-Dub were out, and he said, okay, fuck it, I'll play. I'm in.
Right. It's very weird, too. It's funny, the reporting around it was always so weird, because, like, first on Saturday or whenever last time, they were like, he's going to come back, maybe as early as Tuesday. Tuesday, they're like, no, he's out, like, he's not playing. Then there's this report at shoot-around. It's like, he's not even at shoot-around. Like, okay. And then, like, 90 minutes before the game, they're like, nope, he's upgraded to questionable. And then Woj is like, he's going to play. And it's like, what? Why? Like, why does it have to be like that?
I heard that the NBA is investigating the Sixers for the way they reported
did before.
Yeah.
Well, so they already dinged them once.
They already got a $75,000 fine, yeah.
I just don't get, like, but it's the same thing as last time, where it's like, no matter what, why not just, like, list him as questionable? What's the worst that could happen? Like, why rule him? Why rule him out?
Say nothing. Yeah.
What could possibly have made you rule him out that morning? That, like, it wasn't even questionable when you made that decision, and then he ended up playing. Sure. It's like, how are you that far off base? Where it's like, why don't you just list him as questionable every game, and then if you need to rule him out, like, you can, and it won't be weird. But to just go back, like, he's out, I'm like, no, he's playing, or like last time where he wasn't even on the report, it's like, no, he's out.
Or is
like,
he?
Yeah, it's like, just fucking make him questionable every game. I can't even believe so stupid.
It's bizarre.
It is.
We'll see if he can get up to. I would love to see them in the Bucks play first round, not us.
We need it. No, that would be huge. The Pacers had a huge loss tonight to the Bucks too, so now they're, I think, one game back of Miami. So if the Pacers fall, if either Miami or Philly gets up to the 6th seed, and then the other one, so I think as of right this second, I think now Miami's in the 6, Pacers are 7, Philly's the 8. So if Philly could beat Pacers, it'd be us. We'd play the Pacers. Philly would play the Bucks, and then Miami would play whoever gets the 3 seed, which would be Cleveland right now, but maybe the Knicks, the Magic.
So. I feel like I was just getting the like doing math
too much,
like in front of you face.
Yeah,
I was trying to picture.
Well,
all
basically,
did you say the Pacers lost to the Bucks? Did you just say? I thought the Bucks.
Sorry, the Pacers lost to the Nets. The Pacers lost to the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, all right. See, that's
sorry.
Where we were
Yep, my bad. But the Pacers lost is what's
B-ball overload.
It's a lot going on, but anyway, the point is, if the Pacers are in the 7 or the 8 seed, then we could play them, which to me would be preferable to playing the Heat or the Sixers. I'd much rather play the Pacers if they're 100%. In the play, and that can happen. But then it'll be a very weird first play-in where it's like Philly at Indy, and we're like rooting for Philly, so we don't play them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it'll be weird.
It's going to be interesting. All right, what else? What's going on around the league?
So we had part 3 of the first ever Wemby versus Jokic. Awesome battle. It's so cool watching these guys, where it's like these two kind of very unique, very bizarre international superstars. One is the current face of the league. One is clearly the future of the league, but they're both pretty awesome. Great battle last night again. Wemby, his whole team's out, and they've like shut it down, and he's still going out there, basically single-handedly keeping them in the game. He had, I think, 24 points.
Blocks.
He had 9 blocks. He had 16 rebounds. And he had a few of those blocks on Jokic where, like, some of those, like, holy shit, you never see anyone do that to Jokic.
I saw one that Jokic looked like a little boy. It was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And you don't see anyone do that to him. And he got him like 5 or 6 times. 5 or 6 of those blocks were on Jokic. He got Jokic like fired up to go hard. Jokic ended up, the Nuggets pulled it out barely. At home, Jokic had like 42 and 18. Really had to crank it up. And he had nothing but praise for Wemby. He was like, damn, that kid was good. He had a hilarious quote too.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, but Wemby, unreal. Just so fun to watch. And it's just, I mean, great for the NBA when you've got like literally the 1 seed against the 15 seed in the West playing each other in what should be like such a nothing game, and everyone's riveted. Like, this is just like must watch TV for basketball fans. So pretty awesome. Wemby's coming. So, yeah, I mean, Wemby's here, but he's really coming. So it's cool to see. Jokic had a great quote after the game, too. They asked him that someone brought up that, like, when Jokic had mentioned how he, like, played against Tim Duncan was, like, a measuring stick when he first started, how it was kind of surreal. And now people, like, use that as a measuring stick. And then people were saying last night how this was, like, that version almost, when it was, like, Wemby was the Jokic and Jokic is now the Duncan. And they asked him about it, and he was just like, well, he's like, if that's the case, then he's like, Wemby did a lot better against me than I did against Duncan, or like something like that. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, but good stuff. Cool to see. And I think, everyone's talked like a lot about how awesome Wemby has been overall, but I think it deserves to be appreciated how durable he's been, how much he's played. And again, for a team that's essentially tanking and has nothing to play for, he's still out there battling, playing the entire game, trying to win these completely meaningless games, like busting his ass and giving us all this. So I'd say the early returns on year one of Wemby, hard to come away much higher, even, for the most ardent skeptic such as yourself. Like, I'm not really sure.
Always believes in Wemby.
Yeah, well, what can you really
need a
like?
little extra motivation.
Yes, there you go. That's the angle. So, perfect stuff there. Another team that's equally as bad this year and even more hopeless going forward by far, the Hornets. Steve Clifford announcing that he's stepping down at the end of the year, no longer going to coach the team. I think the writing was kind of on the wall with this. It just, great coach, doesn't make sense. He's been absolutely hilarious. One of the bright spots of the Hornets this year has been Clifford's press conference, how he's just like the old guy who has no filter and has completely stopped caring. And he's had some, if you go back and look, he's had some great quotes this year, kind of sounding off about the state of the NBA, about how bad his team is, how nobody tries, there's no effort, how young kids just get to play because of when they're drafted. Just like, he's gone completely like old man yells at cloud after every game. The new owners, they were going to do it, but Cliff's respected, so letting him play out the year, like, obviously no reason to fire him. He's the man. Hopefully he'll move into the front office or something, because, the guy...
Isn't that what the initial tweet said, is that he's going to work on the front office?
I think so, yeah. So I don't... Again, it's hard to tell.
They always say that, but then I never hear about the front. Well, it's just kind of, it's like, we're just going... The dog's just going for a ride to the country.
Yes, that could be the case. But I think this will be different, because I think Cliff is still... wants to be involved in the game. And again, I think he's really smart. I think they want to bring in like a young... kind of new trendy type of coach to go with total rebuild, which again makes sense. Charles Lee was one of the guys listed, so don't come for our Charles Lee. But I think they should hire Jordi Fernandez from the Kings and the Canadian national team. Hell of a coach. Pep Guardiola's cousin, actually, interestingly enough.
Wow.
Or Chris Quinn, Spo's longtime assistant. So I would imagine both of those guys would be the top two choices. The thing with Charles Lee is, I feel like he's got Lee and Cassell, like, who are both of our awesome assistant coaches. I feel like they've been awesome assistant coaches for a while and have gotten a ton of head coach interviews and like never get it. It feels like almost like an Eric Bieniemy situation where it's like at a certain point it's like, all right, what are these guys not doing in interviews? Where it's like maybe they're just destined to be like good assistant coaches and the head coach job isn't for them. I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah. I selfishly hope that Lee doesn't get this job just because I want to keep him on our bench, but something to watch.
Did you see Mazzulla at all in before the game when in the press conference he was kind of getting asked about it? And like I forget, like I think his initial thing was just basically praising like the coach of the Hornets, and then the guy kind of followed up. He was like, but like how do you like how will like the approach be like if he is going to get like interviewed for like one of the jobs? And just it was again, he's very sometimes Belichick. He's just kind of like, well, he's like, I assume that he would go for an interview and they would offer him the job and he would decide, do I want the job or not? And then based on that, he'll either be here next year or he won't be here. It's just like, you can tell he's just kind of like, what
very
the
matter
fuck
of fact.
Are you, like, what are you asking me this for? Like, right. I don't know. Like, I think he said something too about like he's finishing out the year anyway. Like,
like what do they expect him to say? Like, no,
right.
If they call me as a reference, I'm definitely going to sabotage him.
Yeah, it would suck if Charles Lee just left to go coach the Hornets the last 5 games of the season and just wasn't here for the playoff run. Like, that would suck, but I don't think that's how it's going to play out.
Right.
That was funny, though.
No, that is funny. Good stuff. What else we got? The Lakers and the Warriors kind of surging. I think they heard the Rockets creeping up on them, and they've started turning things up. The Lakers, I think, have the best record in the league over the last 10 games. They've moved up. They're only a game back of the 7 seed, so this kind of is what happened last year. They kept creeping up towards the end of the year after – a lot of the time it seemed like they wouldn't make a playoffs, but it seems like they're peaking at the right time. AD's playing some great ball. LeBron's had some good games lately. Again, kind of similarly to what we said with Embiid and the Sixers in the East, it's going to be another situation where like the Lakers are going to be in that play-in, and it'll be if we get Lakers Nuggets first round again, that'll be box office. And then if one of the poor Thunder or Timberwolves has to take on the Lakers, I'm just going to feel terrible for them. A bad situation. So, kind of shitty, and I feel like I keep saying it, but one more reason why the better seed should just get to pick their opponent. But
aren't the Rockets playing the Warriors tomorrow? Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but they're 3 games
Draymond
back now.
Was saying like Draymond was saying on his show, he's just kind of like we have a chance to basically just like put
that would be it. Yeah, because they already have the tiebreak, I'm pretty sure, and they're 3 games up now. The Rockets, after their great streak, lost 2 tough ones in a row to Dallas and Minnesota. So it does look like they're going to fall a little short, too little, too late. Still playing really good ball, but they might have just kind of run out of steam. They needed to win almost every single game to keep the pressure on. They've lost 2 in a row. Like I said, the Warriors have now won 4 in a row. The Lakers keep winning. So it seems like everyone's kind of starting to push everyone, and they're all kind of winning, and they all also keep seeming to play a lot of teams that aren't too interested in winning, which usually helps. But no, they've looked better. I mean, the Warriors with a great win over Dallas, who was the hottest team in the league last night. And again, the Lakers seem like they've been taking care of almost everyone lately. So interesting stuff. Disappointing. At this point, I just hope we still get that Lakers-Warriors 9-10 game where it's one of them will be eliminated. Would be awesome. I would be bummed if the Lakers are able to creep up to the 7 or 8 seed and it's like the Kings, Warriors, and somehow they all get in, like the Warriors and the Lakers end up getting in.
Yeah. No, we need that 9-10.
Be bullshit. Yes, very much so. But another thing to point out that has gone very quietly under the radar is that Kawhi Leonard popped up on the injury report with new knee soreness and was held out of the game kind of out of nowhere. Again, most players, most teams, situations, I wouldn't really even probably bring this up, but this is exactly how it fucking goes with this team and this guy specifically. Again, I hope, I like Kawhi. I always have, and I just want to see him play. I think when he's healthy, he's one of the best players, one of the most fun to watch, especially in the playoffs. Such a fucking killer. So I will just be so bummed out. And again, I don't want to say it is, but we've seen this story before, and for it to happen this close to the end of the year, after the healthiest year he's had in almost a decade, to now suddenly come random knee surgery, and he suddenly ruled out and has now missed, I think, 2 games in a row. I hate it. I hate it, and I don't feel good about it. And like I said, I hate even speaking it into existence, but I have to get out ahead of this when I see something that I think I'm shocked more people aren't talking about this. And yeah, I just hate it. It sucks all around. Then we had, I was going to talk about the Bucks. I think we already mentioned that they've kind of covered the Bucks with losing to the Grizzlies and Wizards back to back is a little sketchy. So again, for everyone who's concerned with some of these last few Celtics games, when you're like, oh, we didn't pull away from the Hornets till the third quarter, or like whatever, it's just like, relax.
Yeah. Perspective.
Yeah, perspective, big time. Also, shouts out the Hall of Fame class for 2024 will be announced officially on Saturday, but we got a couple names today, so congrats. Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, 2 guys who, you know, I would say were never like the superstars, brightest stars in the game, but 2 very good players.
Vince Carter was probably close to that for a little bit.
I don't know. Was he ever a top 5 guy in the league?
Top 5 dunker.
Top 5 dunker, sure. Yeah, I'll give him that. That's definitely fair. But no, I mean, 2 guys, super likable. I mean, like both 2 players I loved watching for basically their whole careers.
Yeah.
Can now
2 guys we used to love drafting in NBA Live 03.
What do you mean used to?
Used to. Some of us still are.
Yeah. I think it's funny now we can officially say that Rick Pitino and the Celtics gave up on a Hall of Famer after 53 games into his rookie year. So that's fun. Ended up just having a 17-year Hall of Fame career. So great. Good job by us. But yeah, we'll see if there's anyone else inducted. I think I saw Jerry West was inducted as a GM. He's the first player ever to get inducted 3 times now. So what, as a player, I think a coach and a GM, or a front office executive, whatever. But that was a pretty funny stat.
Who is he the GM of this? The Lakers?
The Lakers, the Clippers, yeah. And I think even maybe Memphis for a short period of time too. But
I mean, what the hell? What did he do at any of the? I mean, now you gotta look at what he was doing with the Lakers, but
yeah. Oh no, he was the Lakers GM forever, and then he went to the Kings. I mean, the Kings. Okay. I think he went to Memphis and then went back to the Clippers and helped rebuild this Clippers team to a good team. No, he's done some shit.
All right,
for sure. I had the Maine Celtics on there. Again, we already touched on that. Playoffs start tomorrow. They got the 2 seed in the East. They got a bye. So shouts out to Maine, all on board. Tickets. Very affordable. And if you can't make it, it'll be on TV. Sadly, no, it's Drew Carter announcing. Kind of annoying, but we'll definitely be watching.
All right.
And then the last thing I have. So have you seen anything that's gone on around the NBA tonight? Because
What's that?
Have you seen anything else that's happened around the league tonight? I'm just curious,
is
like
this
any
trick
random
question?
stats
No.
or anything like that.
No.
Funny-ish trivia question for you, if not.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. I looked
so
briefly to see if the Warriors play the Rockets tonight, but nothing else. Go ahead.
Gotcha. No. So we had a very fascinating stat line today. 50-point scorer, someone who scored 50 points in a game for the first time tonight. I want to see if you can tell me what team this guy plays for. So it is Malachi Flynn. Have you heard of Malachi Flynn, first of all?
No.
Okay. Do you have any clue even what team he plays for? And this is not to call you out. It's more just to speak
I feel like
to
I'm
the
under attack
obscurity.
here.
No, it's to speak to the obscurity of the player and just how random some of these games are and some of these teams and who's trotting them out there. The fact that this guy's scored
Malachi
50 points,
Flynn.
who is
No,
a deep pull.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, understandably so. He is a
I
bench
feel like
player
that's-
for the Pistons. Who
Of
he
course.
started the year. I think he was on the Raptors. I think they traded him to the Knicks. I think the Knicks dumped him to the Pistons. He's been traded around multiple times. He's a super fringe player. He might have been even on the Celtics at one point for 2 seconds. No, he wasn't on the Celtics actually. But anyway, he's like a deep backup, a fringe rotation NBA player at best. I would say arguably only solidified in the Pistons rotation right now due to guys being out. So again, this is more just speaking to like how insane. I know it's not March anymore, but we can always say like March basketball is just like don't believe anything you see. This is kind of an extension of that, where just crazy outcomes out there. There's so many guys out there who have never scored 50 points in a game, or the list of some of the best players of all time who they have won 50-point game ever in their lives, and we got Malachi Flynn putting up a 50 burger here. Wow. I think it kind of just sums up where we're at with the NBA regular season right now, how close we are to the end and how it's hard to take too much. I don't know if that'll get him his next contract for some team. We'll be paying for this 50-point performance 3 years from now, but good for him. It got me to look, and I was like, is this the most random, obscure 50 burger in the history of the NBA? So he's only the third guy to ever get a 50 burger off the bench. The other ones, like randomly in recent memory that I was scrolling through that jumped out, Corey Brewer got one. Mo Williams got one. Sadiq Bey, I'd say probably is another one that's like up there with just how the hell did this happen? I don't know. Those I think were probably the most random. Bey and Brewer, pretty crazy to think those guys scored 50. Karis LeVert had a 50. That might have been against us, to be honest. But yeah, just pretty funny, pretty crazy stat. I thought definitely worth mentioning. Just
shout out to Malachi Flynn. I'll
yeah,
never forget him now.
Well, yeah,
He's
exactly.
locked into my brain now.
Exactly, and rightfully so. But yeah, that was it. That was just the fun fact stat of the night. If you weren't, super locked in on Hawks Pistons.
Sadly, my eye had wandered away from that game.
Yeah, well, that's why I was trying to ask the way I asked about giving it away, because I was like, if you were on Twitter, you probably would have seen people like making jokes about him getting 50.
I had every intention of watching more of that game, but this game was a little closer than I expected.
Right. Yeah, I hope you didn't have it recorded, and now I have ruined it for you. You're gonna catch up on it later.
Great. I recorded it in standard definition and everything.
Right. You're gonna catch up after the show, I'm sure.
All right, great, good around the NBA segment there. We have a game against the Kings. We touched a little bit on it. What do you just give us a quick recap? What you're looking, or preview of what you expect for the Kings game? Yeah,
so the Kings, they are one of those teams I had mentioned. They're just now a game up on the Lakers. So I think they're tied with the Suns for 7th and 8th. The Lakers breathing down their necks. They still have a chance. If they win games, they can get up to 6th. Obviously, so important to be in the top 6, guaranteed in the playoffs. If they don't, if they obviously would rather be 7 than 8, so they host that game. They really don't want to fall to 9th, then they have to win 2 games. So, I mean, these are basically already playoff-style games for the Kings every time out there. They need to win these games. We mentioned how much of a feel-good team they were last year, but how I think, kind of almost – demoralizing is probably too strong, but I think it would be really disappointing after that to not even make the playoffs would be a total buzzkill. So we will get a great effort out of the Kings this next game. Mentioned now, no Malik Monk is a huge blow. No Kevin Huerter, also a blow to an extent. Still got Sabonis, the double-double machine. He'll be an interesting matchup. See for us, he's good. He's a bitch to play. De'Aaron Fox obviously still have, so they got their 2 main guys, but lost a lot of their depth, a lot of their scoring. It's funny now because it's made them almost lean into defense a little bit more, where now Keon Ellis, Davion Mitchell are playing a ton out of necessity. Not necessarily as good of offensive players as Huerter and Monk, but 2 real pests defensively in the backcourt. So kind of an interesting dynamic. Will be interesting to see if they can kind of rejigger some things on the fly around their 2 stars. They've won a couple games already, so another one, where, like I said, they've still got good talent and they are playing their asses off to try to win these games. So if we don't approach this game seriously, they could just pounce all over us. But we're at home. I don't expect that to be the case. So I think this should actually be a really good game. And as we were kind of mentioning earlier, this might be one of the last real-ish games before the playoffs, so to speak. So enjoy it, I guess, if we get a real game.
Yeah. All right. And if we don't play well, then who gives a shit?
Enjoy it anyway. Yeah, it's Friday night.
Yeah. Enjoy the game. Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be good. I think it'll be a good matchup. And like I said, I don't think we're in total mail-in mode yet.
I know. And also, like I said, too, if you look at the teams around them, just we're in that West play-in.
They have to be playing. The Kings do.
Well, right. But also, like, from our perspective, if you look at all the other teams around them, it's like, obviously, we don't like the Lakers, the Warriors, the Suns. So it's like, the Kings, by default, are like the team we want. You know what I mean? I'm like, want to see the Kings win. So if we do not take the game seriously and lose, it's like, hey, well, by default, we're hurting the Lakers and the Warriors. So it's like, even a loss could be.
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
Even when we lose, we win.
Precisely.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll see everyone back here then on, what is that, Friday night?
Friday night.
That's Friday night. Prime time.
Well, wait, we're not going. We're doing a show tomorrow night for after the Maine game, aren't we? Recaps of all Maine playoff games. I figured went without saying.
That'll be like the intern. Should just do that one, just like a little G League Chuddy's corner.
Yeah, I like that. The AAA squad.
Chuddy's corner ignite.
I mean, that would be the real. Yeah, that would be the real Chuddy's corner difference. Maybe if they make the G League finals, maybe we'll do a quick bonus episode.
Yeah, if they make the G League finals, I'm getting fucking courtside tickets.
So live show.
Sponsors get
maybe we could steal a few minutes of Davison and Walshy. Maybe, yeah.
That'd be big.
That's a must.
Our first report is that the Maine Celtics, not the Bucks. Like, yeah, cover the Celtics live. All right, great. So we'll see everyone back
keep
here.
calling them the Red Claws.
I know. R.I.P. the Red Claws was a great name. That's all. It's 135-100 is the final score tonight. Again, not totally indicative, but a 35-point win nonetheless. Porzingis 27 points, 12 rebounds. Tatum 24.7 rebounds. Jaylen 23 and 7 as well. Most of those coming in the fourth quarter. He came alive there. I did see too on the post game show that he says he's playing with a sprained or strained ligament in his left hand, but he will continue to play. A little concerning.
I don't love it.
No, I don't love it. Horford had 16 points and only 3 rebounds. But that's all for tonight's epi, folks. We're going to see you all back here on Friday. Subscribe to the page on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to us on. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out the show page on social media at Chuddy's Corner. Check me out on Twitter at Doug_outs. Check him out at King Chuddy. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing everyone back here Friday. Hopefully talking about a nice, meaningless win. Chuddy, have a good night. Everyone else, enjoy yourselves. We'll see you back here later.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.